All right. Well, today we're talking about team development phases, and Max is leading the discussion, right? Awesome. Okay. All right, Max, I'm going to mute myself and you take it away.
All right. Sorry. All right. So let me just pull this up really quick. Sorry, my other class went a little late. Okay. So who can kind of give me a brief summary as to what this chapter was talking about?
I guess it's basically talking about the different phases of team development.
All right. Yeah. That's pretty much it. All right. So I have a list of questions, and I made just some names on a note card, and I'm just going to randomly pick one. Hoping that everyone's here. All right, Krista, what are the main stages and phases of team development? And can you give a brief explanation as to what all of them are?
Max, you're a much tougher teacher than I am.
Krista, can you hear me?
If you call on anyone and they don't want to answer, they're just going to be like,
It looks like she's been in that same pose
yeah,
for the past 5 minutes.
frozen. She's
Okay.
frozen.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
There you go. There you go.
Can you guys, okay, sorry about that. Could you repeat what you want me to do?
Yeah, can you give, can you list all the main stages of team development and give a brief explanation as to what they are?
Sure. Okay, the first one is
Krista, I think your internet is super slow. Maybe you might need to stop your video and just do audio.
when you like how
Here, let's send a.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you a little bit, but you might need to stop your video. Oh, there you go. It's better.
Sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
in the far corners of my house, so sometimes I don't get good. Okay, so storming is when you begin to work together. So you're trying to figure out the other people and how you can work together as a team. Norming is when you find your
I think Krista's connection is not reliable, right? All right, Max, I think you're gonna have to. Max, I think you're gonna have to take back over on that one.
All right. So, taking from the chapter, the 4 main stages, just to kind of reinforce what I think Krista was saying. Let's see if I can find the definitions here. Forming is when the group is brought together. Storming is when the ideas are kind of aired and goes through a lot of conflict. Norming is when the structure is kind of set and the team starts to really work together as a team. And performing is when they really start performing well because they've set up their structure and are able to work efficiently together. Okay, so Alyssa, where is the focus, or like what is the focus of the team in each of these phases? It kind of talked about the different focuses, like individual focus, So like where is the focus in each of these phases?
Are you talking about like the 4 different like sections that it talked
Yeah,
about?
like how does the individual's focus change as the phases progress?
Usually it starts off like the focus is on themselves more, but like as it progresses, then it kind of moves out and ends up focusing more on the bigger picture, or at least that's how it should work anyway.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of focuses also on like how the team is working together as opposed to just like as separate units.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good job. Let's see, Katie, what stages perform the best and which ones perform the worst and why?
So I think like the stage that performs the best is the norming stage, because that's when everybody kind of gets into their routine. They're not as focused on themselves. They've gotten past the storming phase and kind of gotten used to each other and how each other works. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, and then which one performs the worst and why?
Okay. The other ones all kind of, I guess, would perform the worst if that one's the one that performs the best. But especially at the storming phase when everyone's trying to figure each other out, they're having a lot of disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be the one that performs the worst, probably.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because that's when all the opinions are being aired and there's a lot of conflict in that stage. And then as the team gets used to each other and they get more efficient, then they start working better together. Okay, Dylan, what are some important steps for the team leader to take to give the team and the project the best chance for success, especially in like the beginning stages?
In the beginning stages, I think the project. Are you talking like for the project manager, what he's supposed to do?
Yeah.
He's supposed to like stabilize the situation and give like direction and confidence and like guidance for where they're supposed to go with it, so that everybody can kind of quickly get an idea of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep. As the team is being built, he helps them get acquainted, establishes a vision, kind of establishes how problems are going to be solved, stuff like that. Okay. Noah, what makes a democratic style of leadership ineffective at the onset of a team? As opposed to having a leader dictate everything, why is everyone voicing their opinions, trying to decide that way? Why is that ineffective at least at the beginning of establishing a team?
At the beginning, a lot of people could have like different visions, different goals, and whereas a leader knows the goal, knows the vision, wants to share that, and everyone will follow that because he's a leader. As far as like a team with individuals trying to do their own thing, trying to form and storm, I think there's going to be a lot of tension amongst each other, and even some people might have great ideas, some people might not, and some people might just stay quiet even if they have a great idea.
Yeah, and I think later on, as the precedence of how conflicts are resolved, then it becomes easier for people to voice their opinions together and lead in that way. Whereas at the beginning, that precedent isn't set, and then so when there's conflict, it just kind of ends in arguments. Okay, let's see. Dave, what factors contribute to the lack of efficiency in the storming phase?
All right, there we go. It's like when the refs give out a statement, whatever, forget to turn their mic on. I'd say it could be just differences of opinion, difference of ideals. Everyone is still trying to get to know each other, and they're still putting what they want out ahead of what should actually be done. they haven't learned how to get along with each other yet, or how to compromise and put the greater good ahead of what they themselves want.
And that's why the leader is so important at that stage to establish how the team is going to function well together.
Mhm.
Okay. Emmy, why might it be helpful for a team to go through the storming phase?
I think it's helpful because they really get to know how the other people work in their team, as well as how they themselves respond to different situations. So it really builds that foundation of like communication and trust within the group, so that later when other things are happening, so more maybe like pressing discussions and more important decisions that need to be made, they have that foundation of trust and communication in order to communicate with each other well and to know how the other people work.
Yeah. And they also then have a precedence of how to deal with conflicts as well. Okay. Let's see. Jared, why is the norming phase important as the team goes forward?
The norming phase allows them to gel into more than just a group. It kind of puts them into a little bit of a team framework, because like David mentioned, that's when everybody's getting to know each other. That's when they're figuring out strengths and weaknesses. It also gives the leader an example to meet his people and understand, where can I put these people within this group? What projects or what aspects of the project can I assign them to that their skills best will serve the group project. So this is kind of when you take a group of differently skilled people with different personalities, like we learned in our test, and sorts them out, fits them into the mold of the project.
Yeah, and it really frames the structure for how the team moves forward. And like you said, in this part of the chapter, it said that's when the group really starts to function well as a team, as opposed to just a group of individuals. Okay. Caleb, in which phase is leadership the most important, and which one is it the least important?
I would say probably the early stages would be where the leadership really needs to step up, and just really set the expectations and kind of the bars within the team, because that's when there's going to be a lot of the personal conflict going on. Oh, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. And that's where that leader really needs to take charge and say, it's not about individuals anymore. We're going to be a part of the team. And kind of as they get into the norming stage, the individuals in the group will be broken down and molded into that team mindset and that format. And as the task and the drive becomes more important, the less and less the team leader has to take charge and really micromanage the team. It'd be in the later stages when they actually start performing and they really mature and start moving like a machine. But
yeah, as they function well as a team, the leader can kind of, as the book said, take a hands-off approach as they're able to sort of function on their own. But the beginning stages is where they really need the structure and the leadership. All right. And the last question is for you, Jared Baldwin. What are and I worded this question weird.
I can take it.
I'm sorry?
I can take it. Give me a weird question.
What are some factors that can contribute to a team losing efficiency and fall into decline?
I have no idea. I'm sorry. That was a terrible question. No, just kidding. Factors that can lead to decline. I think people getting a little too comfortable, complacency, a breakdown of communication, a lack of attention to the original vision of the project, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it also mentioned not like losing or wanting to maintain the status quo and not keeping up with innovation that happens in the field. Okay, that's all I had.
Excellent. Thank you, Max. Appreciate it. Okay, great. Well, so I want to do a couple things. We're going to try the feature called breakout rooms, and I'm going to break you into small groups so you can talk about something. But before I do that, I want to show you a PowerPoint, but I'm going to need, maybe Max, you stay unmuted and let me know if you can see the whole PowerPoint, because last time I think it was on the wrong screen, so it was small. So if I go to present this PowerPoint, Max, you tell me if it shows it. Can you see the whole thing? Oh, wait, I know I'm not even sharing yet, so hold on. If I do a share screen here, like this, and then I do this. So can you see a whole PowerPoint slide?
No, I still see the stuff on the side.
Okay, all right. So if I do it like this instead, not quite sure why it does it that way, but let's give it a try. Yeah, I can't figure out why it doesn't do it on the same side. Might be because it's in presenter mode. Sorry guys, I'm having to figure it out as we go. Trying to make this good slideshow. Show it on this
I
one.
want my tuition money back from this part of the semester.
Yeah. You're supposed to be muted right now. How about that?
Oh.
Is that the same thing, Max?
That's better. It shows
That's better. Okay, great.
The whole PowerPoint. Wow.
Okay, great. Okay, so I found this graphic representation of what you guys have been talking about here, and I think it's valuable for you. Really, the guy who developed this, I believe his main way he looked at this were the 4 stages: forming, storming, norming, and performing. And then in the book, they added maturing and declining. I think that the guy who created this 5-stage model had adjourning as a last stage later on. But let's just focus on, for the most part, the 4 main ones. And can you see at the bottom, there's this pre-stage. This is kind of like before. This is when people are in a group, but they're not a team yet. And then you can see stage 1 is forming. So members feel a lot of uncertainty. And I'm going to have you guys talk about this within your small groups here in a second. But you've probably been put on a team before, or think about the first day of anything, first day of class, the first day of tryouts for a sports team, the first day at work, the first day joining the chorale, first day for drama practice, things like that. Everyone feels a little shaky, right? So as you can see this picture at the bottom, everyone's going their own direction. Stage 2, storming, there's conflict between the members of the group. So everyone's their focus is on each other. And not all teams or groups go through this as, offensively as it might sound. But this is kind of a common theme. Like if you watch any sports movies or whatever, this is kind of how they all start out. They all start out as individuals, then they join this team, but then there's a lot of conflict between them. If you guys like that movie, Remember the Titans, that's really a good picture of this, right? They kind of start out as individuals, then they're kind of at each other. But then the norming stage comes. Members have developed close relationships and cohesiveness. Something happens between stage 2 and stage 3, and it could be that this is a point of crisis. Another good sports movie is Miracle, about the 1980s U.S. Olympic hockey team. And basically, the coach became the crisis point. He basically made them all hate him, not necessarily a good leadership model, but he made them all hate him so that they would love each other and have this strong bond with each other and figure out where they fit into the overall picture. So that was that. And then from there, once they know their roles, then they get to the performing stage. It's functioning. Everyone knows where they belong and everyone feels comfortable with their assignment. And that's the performing stage. And then this model here, which I think goes along with the guy who created this, the adjourning stage is just there's a period of time when the project is over or your piece of the project is over. It's a little different than the declining. So adjourning is, hey, you know what, this group was not meant to be together forever. And so there's a time where it's just, at the end and everyone kind of moves on, right? So another thing I wanted to show you real quick is this is just from your book, but this kind of shows the emphasis. So the individual is the blue. So in the forming stage, the emphasis is primarily on the individual, like 80%. And then 10% is on the team and 10% is on the task. So this, if you never get past this first stage, you're going to be very inefficient. The second, storming, individuality is lessened, a little more focus on the team. And then the task, at least you're starting to understand the need for the task. The third stage, norming, now the individuals are quite a bit less. The team is really taking a dominant position and the task is starting to get done. But where every team wants to go and what every leader's responsibility in a project is to get to this performing stage where you do have individuals, you're not losing your individuality. And there is a necessary aspect of keeping the team in focus. But the main reason you're there is to get the job done. So that's kind of how that works. So let's see here. I'm going to end this show real quick, because the way this works, I can't see while I'm talking. Okay, so this is what I'd like to do. I'm going to break you up into these breakout rooms. I've never done this before. But what I'd like to do is you're going to be broken up. I'd like you to talk about, just with each other, a time that you have been in a situation where you had to be in the forming stage of a group, and keep it short. I'm only going to give you a couple minutes. I'll give you a little 30-second countdown at the end of the breakout time. And but I want you to talk with each other, like share an experience where you have been in this forming stage or storming stage, or maybe where you recognize, hey, I was on a team and we made it all the way to the performing stage. So obviously don't share your life story, trying to keep it to about a minute and a half. And let me see if I can send you guys to these rooms now.
Else there. I think I knew like one person, and so it was kind of just like we were all just like everything was new. I didn't really know what was going on. And then after tryouts and we made the team, we had to start actually start playing and practicing together. And that's when like conflict started to rise. It wasn't like we were like fighting, but it was finding out everybody's personal styles of play, and then the coach's job was to like kind of be that team manager and just like take everybody's personal styles of play and then like put them together. And then once probably a week into the season, we started actually like playing with the same style, and we started having like the same vision and following what the coach was saying. And that gave us the ability to start performing, and we started playing so much better once we started playing as a team rather than as a bunch of individuals trying to like be skilled players. So I think we reached the performing stage within probably a week or two of meeting.
Working at camp days. When I worked up at IRBC, I was part-time and I jumped into like week 7 or 8. And so the people that had been there for so long that when I jumped in, I've never really made it past like the second stage. It was just like a struggle the whole time I was there because I was always excluded or I wasn't involved. There was no communication on my end because I was only going to be there for, 5 days, Monday through Friday. And then, all these other people have been there for so long. And so I've definitely been on like the we're just gonna have to do the task. I don't really care why you're here. I don't know who you are. You're gonna be here for 5 days. Get over it, kind of thing.
You're
So
probably
I've definitely,
you're breaking Emmy's heart because she's like a camp person, right? So this is like exact opposite of her experience at camp.
well,
yeah, I talked about it prior to you popping in. So
Also, I like Caleb's John Deere blankie. That's very nice.
thanks. Yeah, my grandma made it for me.
Nice. All right.
But no, Emmy was talking about how she kind of experienced that faith. She kind of fell in on some older classmates playing volleyball and whatnot, and obviously through basic training, been through the melting pot or whatnot. But I was comparing it to my camp experience where there have been people there for 6 or 7 weeks, and then I jump in for 1 or 2 weeks after it's been 2 or 3 months for these guys. So I'm jumping into a team, and the team is already formed. And so I was really excluded and on the outside of all of that, and kind of just got left in the dark and just, grab the rope and hold on for 5 days until,
Yep.
you get sent
a
home.
lot of teams and organizations face this. So like a school environment, like a college or a Christian school, whatever, teachers all start working in the late summer and they kind of all go through all these common experiences together when they come on board. But then you hire someone in the office and they start working in January. Well, they don't have all those common experiences with everyone else. And sometimes they feel like they're never really part of the team. And so if a leader doesn't recognize that, what they're going to have is they're going to always have some outsiders.
Right.
Those people will never feel like they fit in. So I'm going to
Yeah.
drop out of this group so Krista can speak, but good job. I'll be calling you guys back in a minute.
All right.
Okay.
Did. And you need to like do your best to avoid that phase. Like, and like it was talking about like constantly trying to innovate, and because the world's changing, your project's going to change a little bit because of that. And so it was like, yeah, this typically happens. Say what?
Sorry. I said I had asked that question in my reading summary, like, is the decline stage one that actually has to happen? And Mr. Baldwin said that it does have to happen, but it's not necessarily like a bad thing. Like,
yeah, and when I went back and looked at it, I was so decline happens especially if it's kind of as that other chart I showed, the adjourning phase, where the project is either winding down or so it sounds almost fatalistic to say decline will happen. But if you look at history, every organization goes through decline. Every team goes through decline. There's no team that wins the World Series 10 years in a row. There's no church that just stays at the top peak forever. It goes through a natural decline because human nature, we all as sinners and as we age and our interests change, every group is going to go through decline. Now, I said it has to happen. It just does happen. And so we have to kind of watch for it and do everything we can to combat that. The best of organizations try to have succession planning and things like that so that from one leader to the next, they minimize it. But if someone recognizes, hey, we're getting to the end of a phase, let's plan the adjourning so that we can kind of restart and get re-excited, reignited about something, that would maybe be the exception. So I'm going to drop out of this group real quick, but I'm going to call you guys back in about 3 minutes, okay?
I guess what I was.
Oh, are you guys all back already? Excellent. Okay. All right. Let me, I'll send out the invitation to get everyone else back too. So they get 30 seconds. So how do you like using the breakout rooms? Was that a good tool?
I like it.
Yeah. I think it gives people more of an opportunity to be able to speak, and you don't feel like you're interrupting as much if it's only 2 or 3 of you at a time. So I'm going to try and use that a lot, like every class period if I can. So matter of fact, we're going to revisit breakout room here in a little bit. So once everyone rejoins us here. Also, oh, I don't know if I ever told you, but any one of these videos could be uploaded to YouTube. So just so you know, your grandma might see this eventually. Or so
Both my grandmas are dead.
So oh boy, that's sad. Well then,
Hey,
but so
The decline stage.
Caleb's granny might see the blanket in the video, and it'll make her feel really good. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm sure she'd appreciate that. We just gotta tag her on Facebook.
there you go. That's what Facebook's for, is for grandmas anyway. So
Oh my gosh, tell me about it.
that's why your guys' generation is getting off of Facebook for the most part. Okay, all right. Well, let's talk just a little more here. I got let me see here. I want to bring up. Cannot figure. Okay, there we go. I got Caleb's face is like huge on my screen for some reason. Not that that's a bad thing. Not that that's a bad thing.
Hey, that's where the favorites belong.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. All right. I want to run something by you guys here. I'm going to share this. So does everyone feel pretty good about this concept? The storming, norming, forming, storming, norming, performing. Okay. It's just a framework. It's not biblical or anything like that. It just is one of those things. So let me pull this up now. And let's see if you can see. All right, help me again. Are you seeing the full screen?
Yep.
Full slide. Okay, good. Here you go. Here's a concept that I came across yesterday called emergence through emergency. Someone give me your estimation of what do you think this little phrase means, and how during this time of our little mini, challenge with the whole virus and isolation and everything, how can we apply this even to our organizational leadership program? Emergence through emergency. Anyone?
I think I got an idea of it.
Go for it.
So it's kind of like the phrase, necessity is the mother of invention. When there's a need or when there's an unexpected circumstance that crops up, that's when you no longer have a soft deadline. You have a pretty hard, rigid deadline that pushes you to make decisions and to get things done. And so when we have a situation like the COVID-19 thing that's thrown us all off campus, now we have to, I guess that's kind of an emergency where we need to get our stuff done. We need to finish the requirements of our classes. And so we have to come up with new ways to do things. And so how can we implement it to the program? Because we're in a situation that is unprecedented and there's no real game plan of how to work through this, we get to come up with how do we make the best out of this situation? How do we bring to the surface, or I guess that would be the emergence part, how do we make the best out of this situation and get done what needs to get done, even in this emergency?
Yep. Any other comments on that?
All right, I got this. It's called performing under pressure. You don't want to be an egg. You want to be a tennis ball. You want to bounce. So the pressures and the environment around you are going to force you to perform a certain way. And you're either going to perform at an exceptional standard or you're going to crash and burn. So,
yeah.
I would even say that, it's not just performing, but it's also developing under pressure, because this emergency kind of forces you into a situation where you have to adapt. And so, as a group, as a team, you figure out what works and what doesn't. And through the pressures, you figure out how the team is going to function, and you figure out how to thrive under the pressures.
Yep. Anyone else? Dylan?
Yeah, I think specifically in the context of what we're going through with like this class and whatnot, it's kind of a weird situation because you're having to become like a leader, like of yourself and like the boss of yourself because of the separation. So there's not as much of a team aspect, but you have to be disciplined and become your own kind of leader through this emergency, and then get through because you're affecting other people, like in the class and whatnot, your performance is going to affect the other people in the class. So being disciplined in yourself and focusing on that is going to be helpful for the whole class.
Yep. Yep. That's good. Any other comments? All right. Well, I would say that through this process, right? So this is just one of 1 million challenges that you're going to face in your lifetime. And it feels really big right now, but you're going to look back very soon and say, wow, there are a lot bigger challenges you go through. When you go through things like this, in this case, this isn't inspired or anything. It's just a good little quote, but the emergency, it doesn't mean that you handle it perfectly. It doesn't mean that you just automatically, how to handle it, that it is you just ace it. Matter of fact, it's sometimes better if you kind of start off failing, because at least then that this is an emergency for you. Like this, if you could just easily handle everything, then nothing is an emergency. So, and you're never going to grow. So the fact that it's a struggle and there's a challenge makes you have to step up and be a leader, makes you more dependent on the Lord, makes you have to really decide, what do I really believe about all this? And so I think it's a good little phrase for us, because what I would hope is that at the end of this period of time, we are going to be a lot better than we were when we entered this period of time, right? So what I would hope is that this is not a slow decline and that we have to rebuild everything when this little emergency is over. But instead, we're using the emergency as an opportunity to grow. And I think as leaders, it's critical to look at life that way, as opposed to, letting it wear us down and stuff. And sometimes we need encouragement. Sometimes we need support or accountability, and we're not going to handle it right all the time. But I do think that we have to look at this as a growing time, not, that, our life is so terrible, we're just going to, sit and wait for it to be over and then start over. I don't think that's healthy at all. So let me show you the next thing we're going to do for a breakout room for just a couple minutes here. So I'd like to send you into these breakout rooms again. And here's just a short, we're going to take 5 minutes. I want you to come up with a short list of potential projects that you think organizational leaderships could do, or leadership students could do. This won't be during this semester. I already have an idea or two for this semester. So matter of fact, you know what? We will start next Tuesday's class with this. I'm just going to give you a heads up so you can start thinking about it. We won't go to breakout rooms on this one right now. But I want you to start coming up with a list of projects. And here, as you can see the instructions here, the project has to be primarily carried. So the load has to be carried by students in organizational leadership. So it might be that one class, like last semester, my business class, we did a food drive and we ran that as a class. It has to be like that, where in one class we could utilize our own manpower to run it, but we can recruit other people from student body to staff, the faculty, or people in the community. But we can't say, oh, here's a great idea, but it's nothing that we could actually do. So it's got to fit something that we could do. It has to be done within a semester, unless it's just like the golden opportunity that would last over 2 semesters. This kind of project would have to be done between the beginning and the end of a semester. The project has to actually accomplish something good. So it's not just the science fair where you create a display and you run some tests and you print up everything and make it look nice. And then when it's done, it goes in the dumpster. Any project we do has to actually accomplish some kind of real world good, is what I call it. And it has to be self-funding, okay? So we're all broke. So the school might be able to cough up a little bit of money to do some printing, or if there was a small fee we had to pay to do something. But the money primarily has to be created by the project, or it has to be a project that doesn't really cost us anything, or it has to be a project that if we all chipped in $5, we could get it done. So be thinking about this. and we will start next week's class with this. Here's a project that we're going to start immediately. So I'm going to give you each a person that has somehow been part of the organizational leadership program. So I have this kitchen cabinet of 11 or 12 people, the people that own Blue Bean, the people that own Northern Lights Pizza, the guy who owns Christian Brothers Auto, people like that. So I'm going to assign each one of you one person. And I'll put this is all going to go on Canvas, but I'd like you to commit to pray for that person and their business or organization every day. So if you were assigned John DeSaulniers from 99.3 FM The Truth, you would commit to pray for him and for the radio station every day. And then I'm going to have you email them, and some of them I might logically connect you to someone you might already have a relationship with, but you're going to introduce yourself, who you are, what year you are here, where you're from. You're going to let them know. I don't mind them knowing that this was an assignment. It's an assignment that's not really an assignment. You can let them know that there's a small group of people that we're praying for because those people have invested some time, some way in our classes. And then I want you to ask them, how can you pray for them daily? And then the last thing, which might feel weird to you because you're not located close by, most of you, is I want you to ask them, hey, what can I do to help you? It might be nothing. There might be absolutely nothing you can do to help them. But I think a genuine offer, if there was something that you could do, would you do it? I saw a quote by Simon Sinek yesterday. He said, there's a big difference between providing a service and being willing to serve. Because being willing to serve comes from a generous heart. Providing a service, you might get paid for that, or you might do it because you have to do it. So if you make a genuine offer, hey, is there anything I can, I'm located in Utah and I won't be back for who knows how long. But if there's something I can do to help you, I would help you. And you make that genuine offer. You just never know how that might turn out, what you might be able to do, how that might impact the person. Some of these small businesses could close if we don't get this ban lifted soon. Some of them are losing more than you paid for your whole semester's tuition. They're losing every day personally from this coronavirus thing. Some of them are going to have to put a second loan, a second mortgage on their house. Their kids might not be able to go back to college next semester because this is so financially devastating. So it's a real thing, and I think you're going to be able to, instead of a community spread infection, we're going to call it community spread encouragement, and we're going to start it just with our program. I think this is one way that we experience emergence through emergency. So I'll put all this on Canvas, but I wanted to give you a heads up about it. And then finally, as we wrap up the class, Tuesday, Andrew Gogarty is going to join us, at least for part of the time. I think we are going to tackle the 100-year promotion project, and I'm going to give you more information about that. Also, I didn't hear from very many people about their book reports, so I do need to hear from you. Like, if you're getting close to being done with your book report and you think you'd like to do it sooner rather than later, I'm going to create a list by probably tomorrow afternoon that'll assign who's doing what book report every time. And then finally, just to give you a heads up, I am going to have an opportunity to get all the parents on a call. So I don't know when that'll be. I want to get better at this before I bring all your moms and dads on here. So just so you know, though, I am going to try and get them all in so they can kind of experience a little bit of what you're experiencing. I don't mind if your parents are ever around and they just want to sit in the background and watch how you do this. I know you might mind, so that's up to you. But I really don't mind. I mean, hey, we're an open book. They can also, I will upload, like Tim wasn't in class, so I'll upload I have a YouTube channel just for this. I'll upload classes to that. They're welcome to watch it. It's public domain. I did not upload, for example, our discussion about diversity the other day because something could be taken out of context. So for our other class, I didn't upload that. But for this class, I don't think we'll ever have a discussion that would be something we couldn't upload. I'll always be careful about that though. Or if you say, hey, please do not upload that, or only upload it for people to get a password, just you privately message me. But other than that, it's like having a guest come to class. So, all right. So do you guys have any questions before we go? Anyone? Bueller? Does anyone know what that's from? Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, hey guys, thank you so much. You're awesome. I'll see a few of you in about 10 minutes. Have a great day.